Hello, this is Geotech Land. Let's take a look at what is new in the world of tech. Elon Musk's Neuralink says this monkey is playing Pong with its mind. This claim was made in a YouTube video that was released a couple days ago. So Neuralink is Elon Musk's company that's focusing on developing brain-machine interfaces. And it posted a video of a monkey, and it was taught to play video games with a joystick at first, and then the brain chip mapped its neuron activity and now can predict what it's going to do by analyzing its brain activity. So then they take out the controller. Once they take out the controller, the monkey just has to think about where it wants to move and essentially control its paddle in the game of ping pong here. This is a pretty interesting breakthrough here. I think the knee-jerk reaction is that this sounds kind of scary in some way, but also sounds cool in another way. I think we can use this technology to do good things and to maybe even enhance our capabilities in ways that will be beneficial to human society. But like with any other piece of technology, we just got to make sure we use it in a responsible way, not in a way that harms society. Apple says iMessage on Android will hurt us more than help us. So during this whole Apple versus Epic lawsuit, it was revealed in some emails in 2016. The big dogs at Apple were mulling the idea of releasing iMessages for Android. One of the quotes they say is, iMessage on Android would simply serve to remove an obstacle to iPhone families giving their kids Android phones. And this is why monopolies aren't good. If they can lock you in like this, is why I prefer technology be open source. That way you don't get a vendor locked in here. Facebook isn't planning to tell you if you're one of the 533 million people whose data leaked. So recently there was millions of Facebook accounts that were leaked online, and Facebook is not telling people who were affected. But if you're wondering whether your data was included in the data dump, you can always go to haveibeenpwned.com. because I guess you can't rely on Facebook to tell you. Twitch takes additional steps to punish off-Twitch user harassment. So Twitch has their own, terms of service, and if you violate those terms of service on their platform, you're going to get banned or punished somehow. But now they're actually starting to enforce behavior that's offline or on different platforms. And again, my thoughts on this are always going to be mixed. On the one hand, I don't want to give this much power to private corporations, but at the same time it makes sense. If you're on a platform and you're doing terrible things on a different platform, then it would make sense for a company or organization to then ban you on their platform or punish you somehow. So I think overall this is a good policy. I just don't want private corporations to make these decisions. If you're enjoying my content, you can subscribe to me on YouTube, PeerTube, and follow me on Odyssey. You can also support me on LiberaPay, Patreon, and by shopping at Earth Hero. See links in the description below. Windows and Linux devices are under attack by a new crypto mining worm. Looks like a botnet has been infecting Windows and Linux computers. It's going to cause them to hijack those devices and start mining some currency, it looks like. This SYSRV binary is packed with the open source UPX executable packer. I think it's interesting that there's versions for Windows and Linux, which makes sense, right? Windows is very popular on the desktop, while Linux is very popular on the server side of things. So this is some scary stuff, and there goes cryptocurrencies they've already ruined GPUs, now they're ruining Windows and Linux computers here. That's interesting. Radeon Vulkan driver adds option of rendering less for 30% greater performance. This new feature is going to be added to the Linux open source Mesa RADV drivers, and it's going to work very similar to DLSS super sampling there. So this can improve performance by upwards of 30%, but you'll likely notice a lower quality visual. For now, it seems that it's only compatible with RDNA2 GPUs, but I guess the hope is that it'll be available to other devices. I mean, if you've got a RX 6000 series, do you really need that much more performance? But I mean, it's always nice though to get a performance boost. Apple M1 hardware support has been merged into Linux kernel 5.13. This still doesn't quite give you Linux desktop on the Apple M1 laptops. It's another step in getting something like that to work. A lot of people have been working on reverse engineering this M1 system, so it's nice that this is still moving along pretty good here. The M1 is a very powerful laptop, and it would be nice to have Linux working on that platform. At least that is until we have our own ARM device that is close enough to Apple's M1 performance, that is open source rather than closed source. Google is now writing low-level Android code in Rust. So recently I covered that Rust is getting more support in the Linux kernel, and it's only natural that Google is jumping on board as well, even though Google still prefers, Kotlin and Java for app development. On the low-level side of things, looks like they want to replace C and C++ with Rust, as Rust provides memory safety guarantees, and it's just better for safety. A lot of developers seem to really like Rust, and from what I've read about Rust, it's basically like C and C++, just with more safety and without sacrificing any performance. You have reached the end of this episode. If you like this content, tune in next week for some more awesome tech news.